Excuse me, my Facebook friends. Today is one of those days for me. I'm really pissed at the Biden administration, the Democratic Party. We expect this from the Republican Party. We expect this from Donald Trump. But this is coming from a statement made by Mrs. Kamala Harris, who is the vice president, the wife of Doug Emhoff, who just happens to be an Israeli Jew. Mrs. Kamala Emhoff says that Israel has the right to defend itself after this terrorist attack, she said. October the 7th, 2023. Israel has the right to defend itself after the terrorist attack by Hamas in 2023. But now, does the Palestinian people have the right to defend themselves? Does Palestine have the right to defend itself after this state terrorist attack upon innocent civilians in Gaza and ongoing at present in Rafah? When you look at this thing, it's biased. When Kamala Harris Emhoff, Mrs. Emhoff, when she was asked if the way Israel is conducting the war upon Gaza, referring to the outright murder of innocent civilians, if she was asked what will be her response to the bombing of residents, hospitals, schools, the starvation of millions of men, women, and children. Her response to the ongoing present-day Holocaust is taking place as we speak in Gaza was that the U.S., America, is not telling Israel how to conduct the war. Really. But she keeps telling Israel that the U.S., America, will continue to unconditionally support its illegal war efforts by financing the war. Financing the war efforts of this terrorist state of Israeli Zionism, which is murdering innocent civilians with the support of the U.S. Biden sham Democrat administration. And I would definitely like to know the position of her husband, Doug Emhoff. Kamala Harris is married to Doug Emhoff. She's Mrs. Emhoff, who himself is a Jew. I would like to know his position concerning the present-day Holocaust of the Palestinians. Now, when she was calling And she was asked about her unconditional support of Israel and her silence on how Israel is conducting this unjust war against the Palestinians. She says that she understands the many young students protesting against Israel in favor of the Palestinians, and her response is that she respects that she would not try to silence the students' protest against Israel in support of the Palestinians. In other words, she won't try to silence the protest, but just ignore the protesters and remain silent herself when it comes to the criticism of the protesters against this unjust war, this terrorist war on innocent civilians. Israel, right or wrong? Israel, right or wrong, is her approach. Israel has Kamala H. Imhoff, Mrs. Imhoff, and Joe Biden's unconditional financial military support and aid irregardless of the crimes, the war crimes against humanity. Unwavering support from the Biden administration, from the Democratic Party. And as I said, we expect this from the Republican Party, which is made up of majority Christian Zionists, racist Christian Zionists, white nationalists. We expect this coming from the Trump administration. But this is the so-called liberal Democratic Party. Mrs. Imhoff, Kamala Harris, in a press briefing, expresses her sentiment concerning the present-day Holocaust, this genocide taking place in Gaza. And she continuously uses the oft-repeated mantra of all U.S. Zionist politicians: Israel has the right to defend itself. That's her response to the genocide and the terrorist attack on innocent civilians. Israel has the right to defend itself. The question should be, does Israel have the right to commit mass genocide against innocent civilians? Israel has the right to defend itself. Since October the 7th, 2023, she says, Israel, since October the 7th, has the right to defend itself. You know, this is like the response you get from these undercover defenders of white supremacy and the mass murder of black people in America by the United States-sponsored police. When people protest against the continuously ongoing genocide of black people here in America, today being killed on the streets of America by the United States-sponsored police, and people make demands to stop the genocide of black people, the murder, the harassment, the brutality, and outright murder of black people on the streets of America, the response is similar all lives matter, is the response. All lives matter. But if you point out the fact that it's predominantly black people being murdered by the United States sponsored police, oh, now they will all of a sudden conveniently make the statement that which is common sense. The truth is, indeed, all matters, all lives do matter. This is true. All lives do matter, but and that's a known. That's a known. All lives matter. But that's not even the argument. Such a response to Black Lives Matter is just, all lives matter is just a way of evading the fact that it is predominantly black and brown men, and even our women and children, who are singled out through racial profiling to become the victims of racist police violence, brutality, harassment, murder, which according to statistics, this amounts to nothing but a slow process of mass genocide. But again, the tactic of those who want to safeguard the status quo, white privilege, the state's right of white supremacy to continue to commit mass genocide against black people in America, it is the tactics of white supremacy to silence the protests of the victims. How? By changing the subject of Black Lives Matter to All Lives Matter. But it's not all lives who are being singled out for police brutality. I think you know that. It's not all lives that are facing mass genocide. It is the masses of young black men who are being killed indiscriminately by the police. It is beyond, way beyond the argument. It is ludicrous, insane to argue by comparison. Black lives matter, all lives matter. It is a fact that it is predominantly blacks who are being murdered by the police in the streets at an alarming rate. This, as we stated, is a slow process of mass genocide. So, of course, we agree, all lives matter. Let me say it like this. If we ignore the fact that the subject of mass incarceration and murder of black men is a major problem in America today, and in fact, the murder of the darker people, the darker colored people all over the earth are being systematically attacked by the European, Western, white ruling classes of nations all over the earth. If, for the sake of argument, we want to deflect or redirect the attention away from the wholesale genocide of black and brown people to let's say all the people of the earth. So we're gonna limit our protest to the genocide of any human population. Okay, let's go with that. If all lives matter, what about Palestinian lives? What about the innocent civilians in Gaza? What about the innocent brown people of Palestine? Mrs. Kamala Harris, Mrs. Imhoff, who is possibly caught between a rock and a hard place, trying to appeal to the growing masses of young people in the Democratic Party who reject Israel's state terrorism, unjust war, genocide against Palestinian people. She's stuck between two conflicting parties, the Israelis, Jewish, so-called Jewish Zionist lobby, while at the same time trying to gain or to continue to get support from the masses, voting masses of young people. This is a problem. This has become a problem for the Biden administration. So, Mrs. Kamala Harris, who just happens to be herself married to a European Jew, maybe possibly caught up in a conflict of interest. She being unconditional supporter of the Israeli state of Zionism. Her constant response to this Holocaust that's going on in Gaza is, after October the 7th, she says, which was 2023, Israel has the right to defend itself. Excuse me? Here we go again. Yeah, all people have the right to defend themselves. I agree. If the white people of Ukraine have the right to defend themselves against Russia with European and American sympathy, the opinion of most European and Americans is that Ukraine has the right to defend itself against Russia. So if the white people of Ukraine have the right to defend themselves, if white people anywhere in the world have the right to defend themselves against terrorism, what Israel is doing at the moment is state-sponsored terrorism, state terrorism, with the backing of the U.S. government and other Western nations. If the white people of Israel who call themselves Zionist Jews today have a right to defend themselves, then by the same damn logic, the people of Palestine have the right, they always had the right, to defend themselves. And should they be punished because of exercising their right to defend themselves against an illegal apartheid state? Black people in America have the right to defend themselves. Black and brown people all over the world have the right also to defend themselves. Just like the common sense logic. The most popular slogan that trumps Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. All people have a right to defend themselves. That would include our brothers and sisters, the Palestinians. The question to be asked, Mrs. Kamala Harris is why does she pinpoint October the 7th, 2023 as the starting point of the war on Gaza, as if up until October the 7th, 2023, the Israeli state of Zionism was not waging a war of genocide and terrorism on the Palestinian people. This conflict, this war, this Israeli aggression into occupied land, this didn't start on October the 7th, 2023. You would think that, though. You would think that the Israeli-Palestinian, what they call the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, began just recently, October the 7th, 2023. And after that point, Israel, or Israeli-occupied Palestine, was not suffering from mass genocide. If you listen to the likes of Kamala Harris, Mrs. Imhoff, maybe that's why most people in America who only view the war of Gaza from the viewpoint of the U.S. Zionist-controlled media, like ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, all Zionist propaganda news media outlets, all controlled, influenced by Israeli lobbies. If you view this Israeli war upon Gaza and all Palestine, including surrounding countries, if you view this war from the perspective of the puppet politicians, either the Republican or the Democratic parties, then you will be biased toward the Palestinians. Because the Zionist Jewish lobby controls the narrative of not only the American news outlets, but the vast majority of our American elected officials are bought and paid for by the Zionist Jewish American lobby. I don't know. I can't say, but I suspect that Mrs. Imhoff, Kamala Harris, would not be, could not be, will not be a fair and objective voice concerning the issue of the Palestinians because of a conflict of interest. I suspect that she is probably more concerned with the defense of the Israeli Zionist state than with the innocent lives of Palestinian people who, at present, they are suffering the world's greatest ever Holocaust, a genuine Holocaust. I suspect that no matter how many innocent victims get slaughtered, or how many innocent men, women, and children starve because of this U.S. supported genocide, Kamala, Mrs. Imhoff, Kamala Harris, will not speak against the Israeli Zionist aggression, but she will continue to deflect, misdirect attention away from the Israeli illegal occupation and mass murder of an entire nation of non-white people that was perpetrated, according to them, by the organization called Hamas on October the 7th. But how in the hell is it justified to go to war with an entire defenseless civilian population in order to defend yourself against a militant political organization that operates in isolation to to the masses of the Palestinian people. What the hell is Kamala talking about? The way I see it, Israel is not defending itself against Hamas, which is impossible to do since Hamas is basically a political ideology with several unconnected military and political formations. It's basically a ideological political movement. In other words, people think, ask yourself, is this a defensive war or is it an offensive war being waged by the Israeli Zionists in Gaza, Rafah, to annihilate or displace or to totally expel the indigenous Palestinian people, Palestine and beyond Palestine? Is being illegally occupied. The only thing that I see that Israel, the Zionist state of Israel, is defending itself against is world opinion. She's defending herself against the opinion of the United Nations. She's defending herself against worldwide support for the Palestinians. The Zionist state of Israel is defending itself from all criticism and she does that by charging anyone who speaks against the illegal occupation of the Palestinian nation as anti-Semitic, which don't make any sense. Don't make no sense. Because if you understand, the Zionist Jews of Israel are not even Semitic. They're not Semitic people. In fact, it is the Palestinian Arab people themselves who are actually, historically, of Semitic descent. It is these dark-skinned people of color, the indigenous Semitic people who are being oppressed by white European settlers who are non-Semitic. Most of these Zionists are European American settlers who illegally occupy Palestinian land as the Europeans illegally occupied North America and displaced the indigenous Americans they call Indians. They falsely claim Semitic descent. They misuse the biblical narrative of the historical Jews of Palestine, calling themselves Jews, falsely so called. Many of them converts to Judaism, but most Zionists, most of them are actually atheistic colonizers and advocates of worldwide white supremacy. They are supported unconditionally by European and American Christian Zionists who also advocate worldwide white supremacy. I'm not suggesting that Kamala Harris or Mrs. Emhoff is consciously sympathetic to worldwide white supremacy. It may be that she is not even aware of the Zionist connection. It may be she's not even aware of the white racist connection between Zionism and colonization. worldwide Euro-Gentile domination. But don't tell me that she's not aware that the present-day white racist Zionist state of Israel is an illegal apartheid state. She knows this. She must be aware that this Zionist state is committing offensive war crimes against an innocent, occupied, colonized, defenseless people. October the 7th, and I'm going to say that again and again and again. October the 7th has not a damn thing to do with this Israeli unjust war upon the innocent civilians of Palestine. Because you'll notice they never have presented an actual news footage of the Israeli Zionist army in a military battle or conflict with any Hamas soldiers whatsoever. You only see the bombing of residential neighborhoods, the bombing of schools, hospitals, refugee camps. You see the blockade of food from the starving masses of innocent Palestinian men, women, and children. And you call this Israel defending itself? Again, I could be wrong, but I just don't believe that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is really concerned at all about the present Holocaust. Literal, genuine Holocaust of Palestinian people. But they have to continue to pay lip service to humanitarian aid in order to deceive the masses of young Democratic voters that they are not biased toward Israel. Fact is, their past and present record of unconditional support for the Israeli Zionist illegal occupation knows no bounds. And they will continue to ignore the facts of the case that Israel is, beyond any shadow of a doubt, in fact, Israel is in fact an illegal, oppressive, white, racist, colonized state that imposes apartheid through state-sponsored terror with the blessing of Western nations of Europe and America. You need to consider the facts. Israel has long gone beyond the point of defending itself to it has resorted to avenging itself against non-combatants, innocent civilians. I got one more thing to say about Facebook, friends. And I had started making videos, but this got under my skin. How would it sound if every time the mention of Russia invading and illegally occupying Ukraine, murdering and bombing homes, hospitals, schools, churches, how would it be if every time you mention the war of Russia upon Ukraine, what would you say if every time you mention Russia and Ukraine, your response is Russia has a right to defend itself. Russia has a right to defend itself. And this without any consideration of the historical and political background of the war that's taking place between Russia and Ukraine. You wouldn't consider that to be a fair and objective response, or would you?